Hello and welcome to Unit 2 of the Starter series. This video tutorial is about file permissions on your Joomla website. As always, this overview is aimed at newcomers to Joomla. However, in the latter part of this particular video there are some more advanced materials. Imagine this scenario. You create a fantastic website and you fill it full of content and you're happy. In fact, you love it. A few days later it becomes corrupted and you're unhappy. You've been subject to a malicious attack. Someone or something has managed to enter your file system and corrupt it. You have a bright idea. You seek advice and are told by the expert the attack may not have happened if you had locked down the permissions on your files and folders. So what are file permissions and why is it important to set them at the correct levels? How do you change them? On a Linux-based system, which if you're using Joomla is the most likely system your ISP is using, you can change your permissions for each file and folder on your website. This is most easily done using an FTP program such as FileZilla to access your website and set the file permissions, although you can use any other FTP program. So what should you have done? Well, you can't completely lock down your website. No one will be able to see it, and indeed some files need to talk to each other for the site to work. So let's have a look at what these permissions are. If we FTP up to our website, we'll see the list of files. We'll highlight one, right click and click then on file permissions, the bottom one. And what that will bring up is this form, and from the form you can see that the numeric value here of 755 applies to the administrator. It's read, write and execute, and the group permissions are read and execute, and the public permissions are read. We can change these settings by unticking them or adding. These numbers are important. To create secure settings for your file attributes, set all files to 644 with the exception of the config PHP. Set that to 640, which is even a tighter control, and set your folders to 755. So that's as easy as that to change your file permissions. I suggest you follow those recommendations and the recommendations in my security blog straight away. You'll be able to link off this at a later time. By the way, if your ISP only allows 777 permissions, change your ISP, because that's leaving your site wide open. This is the link to the security tips on my site, which links in with this last article. Now, what these numbers are often called is chmod, change mod I call it, but chmod. It's actually an old Unix command line and it refers to these octal numbers. So what does it mean? Well, if we look at the attributes here, read, write and execute, they give a number of 4 to read, a number of 2 to write, a number of 1 for execute, which gives us a total value of 7, and that's the first 7 in this numeric value. So if you're writing it longhand, it'd be chmod 7. If we look at the group permissions, we have the read ticked, which gives a score of 4, no write, so that's 0, and execute 1, so that's a total value of 5, and that's the second 5 in the list. and you can guess the rest. And the public permissions, read and execute only, so that's 4 to read, nothing to write, and 1 to execute, total of 5 again, and that gives us our last 5. So our numeric value shown as an octal number is 755, and this is the definition of what an octal number is from Wikipedia. The important thing is it's numeric groups in groups of 3, so you can look into that further if you so desire. But this is the attribute options. So you've got 4 for read by owner, 2 for the write by owner, 1, and so on. It goes down. So that gives us our 777 would be full permissions. You'll see these displayed in different ways like this. You can also have the same information displayed in a letter code. That's R for read, W for write, and X for execute. So if we look at those permissions we were looking at before for the attributes, full permission 421 is 7, and that would interpret in letter code as RWX. So you've given full read, write, and execute permissions for the owner. For the group, in this case, we're not given write permissions, so it's RX, and the same with the public. So if you saw that, it would actually equal the octal number 755. Okay, so here's a security summary. Set your file permissions to chmod 644 with the exception of the config to 640. You want to keep people out of the config file because they can do pretty much anything if they get into that. Set folder permissions to chmod 755. And I mentioned 2 other things. Only install the extensions you need. There are thousands of extensions for Joomla. Some are brilliant, some are not so brilliant, but some also pose a security risk. They're weak in their security. Check it out before you install an extension. Have a look at the vulnerable extensions list in Joomla. Only install the extensions you need. Don't get too carried away. Make sure you just installing the ones you really do need. And the last point is host your site on a server that runs PHP in CGI mode with SU-PHP. What that means is that your PHP will run in your account and not under the Apache server. So if somebody else has a problem on their site, it won't affect you, and vice versa. Anyway, to find out more, visit my site on www.joomlaandme.co.uk. I look forward to hearing from you, and if you find this video useful or you want to know more, you can contact me direct on the form there, and there's the link. Thanks for listening. Bye.